السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Most of you already know me. I'm Yusuf Arafa. I'm honored to be here, and I want a couple disclaimers. First of all, I do work for the Panama City Beach Police. However, some of the things that I'm talking about today may not represent their opinion, so I'm going to be talking to you just Yusuf Arafa today. This is not representing the police department in any way, but there are a few security and safety issues that I do see, even legal aspects that we want to come talk about and go over today, inshallah. Because Allah does teach us that He is our protector, but the Prophet ﷺ teaches us that we have to take the measures and precautions necessary to protect ourselves as well. So I'll try. I know that we're all hungry, we're all fasting and thirsty, but inshallah we'll try to liven the mood a little bit. How many of you guys were ever driving down the road and maybe you're going 10 miles above the speed limit, and all of a sudden you look behind you and you see a police car pulling behind you? What's the first thing that you do? So not with lights on, he's just driving now behind you. So you slow down, right? You slow down, and maybe you're traveling with your kids or driving with your kids in the car, and you're praying to God that the cop doesn't see your 3 or 4 kids jumping around the back of the minivan, and that's all you're thinking is just driving, right? You know what that cop is thinking statistically? Probably, man, it's just 5 more minutes before Chick-fil-A closes. This minivan doesn't move out of my way. I'm kidding, but yeah. But inshallah, I want to broaden our community, and alhamdulillah, I worked for the police department for a little over 7 years now, and alhamdulillah, last June I was promoted to a corporal, so now I'm supervising anywhere between 15 and 60 officers. So part of my responsibility is, of course, making sure that we enforce the law and protect everyone's rights. Everybody has rights that we are protecting, and one of those rights is the right to carry arms and carry weapons. Now, I'm always for constitutional carry. However, I have mixed feelings about it personally, because on the one hand, yes, everybody should have the ability to protect themselves, but the idea behind everyone on the street, every Joe and John that I encounter out there having a gun tucked in their waistband, to me that's a little scary. But it's happening. It's happening now, and starting July 1st, Florida is moving to the constitutional carry state, which means that, and I'm going to go over this law inshallah, and just I had some time to study it and review it, and it is going to be a big learning curve. I'm very confident that we're going to have to work a lot with the attorneys and all those people, because I'm not an attorney, and it's so. Well, you can come up here if you like, and okay. Yeah, it's not open carry. Yeah, open carry is still illegal. The only one that can open carry is law enforcement. So open carry means that you're essentially visibly carrying it. Concealed carry is what I'm doing right now, is concealing it. So the July 1st is starting, so it's not legal yet. I don't want anyone here to go outside and put guns in their pockets. Yes, it's starting July 1st. Yes, and the governor signed off on it as well. No, right now. So that's what I'm here to talk about. So essentially, that's fine. No, after July 1st, not open carry, not open. So there's two things. There's open carry and concealed carry. So, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I will have questions at the end. I promise I'll answer all questions, inshallah. So there's two things now. There's open carry and there's concealed carry. The Florida Sheriff's Association has always been against open carry. You know, right now that's still illegal. It is illegal to walk around with your gun open carry. There are a couple exceptions to that. Number one, if you're fishing, camping, or hunting, or going to fishing, camping, or hunting, and Brother Kareem can answer all this stuff. But there's a couple exceptions for open carry, meaning that you literally wear a gun in a holster on the side, like law enforcement do. Wearing on your side visibly, okay? That is still illegal and it remains illegal, okay? There are those couple exceptions, but for the most part, it is not legal. Now, concealed carry means what I'm doing right now. You conceal it in a holster, a concealable holster, where you can't visibly see that I'm armed. And you can't visibly see that I have a gun. So that's concealed carry. That is what's passing legal to historically used to have to go to the Department of Agriculture, apply for a permit, and you can carry concealed legally. Now, the only thing that's changing is that permit is going away. The requirements for that permit is going away. They will still issue permits, which I encourage everyone to get, because to give you an example, Alabama is currently under the law that we are going to in July 1st. They have constitutional carry where they can carry concealed. However, when people from Alabama come to Florida, they need to follow Florida laws. I just arrested somebody just last week that was carrying concealed, and he said, well, his excuse was, well, you guys are going to constitutional carry too. Me in Alabama, I have constitutional carry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, sir. Go to jail, don't pass go, don't collect $200. So you have to it's still illegal now. I don't want anyone here to go outside and put a gun in their pocket and then call me and say, but you said this. Please don't do that. It's still illegal now to carry concealed without a permit. But it is going to be legal starting July 1st. And like I said, there's going to be a large learning curve for that, and a couple things are going away, and they're adding a couple things. Essentially, if you were able to go to the Department of Agriculture and retrieve a permit with the training and all that, then you can carry a concealed firearm even without the training, which is the scary thing for me, honestly. I feel like you need to go through some training to be able to shoot a gun, but you know, that's it's not up to me. I'll get to the questions. So essentially, two things are going away: the requirement for the permit and the requirement for training. You are going to have to be 21 years old or older. Okay, the same thing applies if you go to apply for a permit today and they deny you. If you have any like felony charges or anything like that, you still can't carry concealed, domestic battery, that sort of stuff. You can't carry concealed. So that part of the law still stays the same. The only thing that's changing is the requirement to have that identification to carry concealed. And that's only for Florida. So if you were to go let's say Tennessee, I don't know if Tennessee is or not, but any other state that's not considered a concealed carry state or requires a permit in their state, then you have to have a permit from Florida as well. So it's always encouraged to get a permit regardless. And the Department of Agriculture still will issue permits even after July 1st. They'll still issue your permits. They'll still do the training and all that if you choose to do that. You're just not required to have it, even carrying in the mosque, anywhere, okay? So that brings me to the topic for today is I feel like this law is gonna make every Joe and John on the street to carry a firearm and without any repercussions to walk around, even walk in the mosque, whatever you might have you. So it's very important that all of you guys know your rights in terms of carrying firearms and being able to, carry concealed. Now, when you are carrying concealed, the law is going to specify that you do have to have an identification on you, and you don't necessarily have to be a citizen as well, because it says alien or permanent residence. So essentially, if you have a green card or a identification or something like that, visa, I'm not sure exactly how the visitor visa works. I think you have to be a resident as far as carrying concealed, from my understanding of the law. Again, this is a learning curve, and I'm sure I'm going to be back up here talking about it some more. But you have to be a resident of the United States. You don't necessarily have to be a resident of Florida, which is why from Tennessee somebody can come over here and as long as they're over 21 and carry a form of identification and they're not felons, etc., they can carry a concealed firearm. So that's a very large change that all of us are going to have to, get used to. But questions right now so far? Yes. So I've heard both sides of the argument. The one side says that, and I understand this side, but the one side says that the criminals are not going to get permits. The people that actually are out there to shoot somebody, to kill somebody, are not going to, they're not worried about, oh, before I go shoot up this mosque, I better have my permit. Nobody's thinking like that. So they're all going out there, and I personally, in my police department, I personally worked hundreds of burglaries where guns were stolen. So that's how they get a hold of guns. They're not worried about going to apply for a permit or going to making sure that they're legally carrying their firearm. They're not worried about that at all. They're going breaking in cars, breaking in houses, stealing guns, and then they're taking those guns and committing crimes with them. So the whole benefit behind it is to give responsible citizens, the citizens and residents, the ability to protect themselves, to protect their families, without the fear of, the law enforcement or the government interceding and saying you can't carry a firearm. So that's their reasoning behind allowing constitutional carry, which I understand to a certain extent. I feel like the training aspect, I suggest that you, uphold your rights and carry a firearm. As long as when it does become legal, if you don't have a concealed carry already, then go ahead and carry one. And I also suggest to go ahead and get the concealed carry, because like I said, if you travel to another state that doesn't, have constitutional carry laws, then you can get trouble over there. Yeah, so you need to yes. To get the permanent training, there's several states that reciprocate Florida in terms of concealed carry. And In order to carry in those states, you need to have a concealed carry license from Florida, and those states will honor, essentially, if you would, our concealed carry license. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there are some states that have open carry as well. Like Texas is one of them. Texas has open carry. Yeah, it might be. And by the way, open carry is coming to Florida, I think, but not yet. Yeah. Yes. It would be kind of like if you wanted to implement a no gun policy in the mosque. That's a good question, by the way. If you wanted to implement a no gun policy in the mosque, I think it would be very difficult to enforce, to say the least, because it's legal. Yes, it is. After now, it's illegal. Yeah. Now it's illegal, okay, but unless you have a carry permit and all that, but it will be legal after July 1st. No, to carry a gun without a license, like a private, yes, it's legal. Yes, it's legal. As long as you have a concealed carry license. I mean, yeah, if it's like you can enforce any sort of policy private, but in terms of like illegality, you can honestly, this is the House of Allah, this is our community. You can tell anybody that they're not allowed here. That's a good question. It's private. I believe it's private. Yeah. Yeah. You can always enforce any sort of policy, but I think it would be very difficult to enforce it because in order to do that, you would have to have somebody literally guarding and checking every single person that walks through, yeah, like a metal detector or something like that. So, like practically speaking, I don't think that's the route that we need to take as a community. I think we need to reroute to legally, responsible, legal members of the community carrying. You have the right, we have the right as a community to trespass anybody we want from the property. Schools is different. So this new law also empowers the sheriff. If the sheriff hasn't reached out to Panama City Advanced School, I'm not sure if he has or not yet, but if he has not, he probably will in the very near future, with terms of the Guardian program. Has anyone ever heard of the Guardian program? Sisters, I'll get to you in a second, I promise. But has anyone ever heard of the Guardian program? So the Guardian program essentially is math teacher, in a high school, is carrying concealed all the time. There's certain people in our schools that are, adults obviously, not students, but adults, but teachers and, guidance counselors, etc., that they're designated by, through the sheriff's office and all that, and they're, carrying concealed firearms in school. Yes, sir. Yeah. So, yes. Yeah, there's guardians here in Bay County too. So I'm not sure if, sheriff reached out or not yet, but it might be something to talk to him about, or talk to the sheriff's department about. Sister? Yeah, you still have to go through the buying process. That stays the same. You have to go through the 3-day background check and all that stuff. If you don't have the concealed carry permit. Sisters? Alaikum salam. I completely agree. So in terms of teachers, I recommend that Guardian program, and I recommend reaching out to the sheriff and seeing about putting guardians in the schools, and in terms of the masjid, because it happens in masjids too. And in terms of the masjid, I personally believe that everybody should know their laws when it comes to carrying concealed firearms, and just know that you can have a gun and be responsible with it. I love to go off-duty shooting, so if anybody here wants to go and practice, feel free to get up, call me, and we'll take the time and we'll go and we'll have some training and stuff like that. So I love to practice that. So just be responsible about it, I mean, whether or not their training is gonna, I feel like they should have training and the stricter training, and I'm not a big fan of, this law to begin with. But again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the police, but I can, from the people that I spoke to, you go ask any street cop, hey, what do you feel about everybody you come in contact with having a gun in their waistband? It's not calming to me. Yeah, exactly. So it's not very, it is scary. It's a scary idea. But inshallah, we'll work together, and like I said, it's a learning curve. We'll work with our attorneys, we'll work with everybody, and just kind of, learn as we go. Well, like I said, the statistically speaking, the number of casualties in mass shootings that occurred where a person was armed in that scene, the number of casualties decreased tremendously. Exactly. So, yes. So the casualties in those situations tremendously decrease. So that's one of the best benefits, and that's why I believe that every citizen, everybody should know their rights about gun laws, and responsibly carry a firearm to protect themselves and protect their families and their communities. And I assure you, when I carry, it's to protect. This is my community. I grew up here, and Bay County Islamic Society is my society. So I'm protecting everybody So, and I hope that everyone else, I encourage at least everyone else to join that, and just don't be a victim, essentially. Well, brother had a question. I'm not aware of any law that says that, but I could be wrong. I'm not personally, I'm not aware of any law that says you have to reveal that you have. There are some states that say that. I don't know about it, but I encourage it. Like, if I get pulled over and I'm carrying, the first thing I'm going to say is that, I'm off to a police officer and I have a gun on my side. That's the first thing I'm going to say. So guardians for the school, but the mosque is separate. I mean, I feel like the mosque is going to be a lot better if, everybody here just, yeah. And in terms of training, well, that's what I mean. In terms of training, that aspect of training is going out of the law. So it's better just to train yourselves, and I absolutely recommend. They're still issuing permits. The state of Florida is still issuing permits. Even after July, they're still issuing permits, they're still doing the training, they're still doing that, but it's not law. Like, you don't have to go and have training. You don't have to have that exactly. But they're still issuing them, because if you do go to another state, like I said, you'll have to have that permit in order to carry in that state. If they Yeah, that training is just to handle a gun. How to deal with an active shooter is, I mean, I don't really have the time to talk about active shooter situations. I'll get briefly into it, but essentially the biggest mindset. Well, the mindset with active shooter response is very different than it's not the same as let's say isolated shooting. It's very there's a very large difference between a hostage situation or isolated shooting versus an active shooter. With an active shooter, my goal and law enforcement goal is to end the threat. So if that means literally stepping over victims, I hate to say it, but if that means stepping over people lying on the ground to get to the threat, to end the threat, that's what I'm going to do. So it's different with active shooters versus, isolated situations. But
I'm just now talking in general about the masjid situation, that we have policemen during Jummah prayer and during Friday prayer only. But honestly, I sometimes even during tarawih or Friday, they are sitting in their car on the street. I mean, maybe watching their whatever on the phone or some. I know, but let's be honest. If somebody parked their car, God forbid, Allah, park their car there, and then get out of the car and walk to inside with his gun or whatever, how long? Come on. By the time the policeman will come here, I'm sorry, it will take a while. So I have other options. Let's talk about the other options.
So that response, and I completely agree with you, Amor, with that response. When you hire somebody to sit, and guard the masjid security-wise, you are paying off-duty security. So when I show up for off-duty security, the first thing that I do is I come to you and I say, what do you want me to do? So if that deputy or that officer is not doing what you want them to do, you need to go and verbally tell them that. You need to say, hey, I need you to walk around the mosque. Well, then then it might be a different deputy or something that's not communicating with. So different person that comes over here doesn't know what you guys expect. So it needs to be every single day that somebody goes out there and says, hey, I need you to do this, that, and the other. I need you guys to walk around, and you know. Visit marked or unmarked. I mean, I don't think it's going to make a difference when it comes to active shooter situations, because the people that do that, you know, they don't have their mindset, you know, set on whether or not there's a marked car out there. It might deter it, absolutely, but you know, I think that we need to sit down and talk about that situation, like, because even like the layout of the building, you know, like when I walk in, the best spot for me is right behind that door right there. So when I see somebody walking in the door, I can see them. But I mean, there's blocking, like you know, and I'm not here to, you know, point any fingers or call anybody out. But let's be real. We've been parking here, and everybody that drives to the masjid just parks anywhere they want, anywhere there's, you know, a flat surface. And I think that there needs to be a lot of set rules, not just in terms of like gun safety, but if there's a fire or something, that we need to be able to, you know, evacuate safely, and you know, so we need to set up a little bit different in terms of where we park. For example, parking on the sidewalk is illegal, and please don't do it. You know, so we need to kind of enforce those laws as well. So as a community, you know, I personally, I've went to several kids, you know, I went to several calls where children were killed in, you know, in cars. Car getting run over in the parking lot, run over a child. So it's something you never forget. But at the same time, why are we parking on the sidewalk when we can, you know, perfectly walk to the masjid and parking nationwide or wherever we have to park to you know, avoid any situation, any potential catastrophe. So let's also, you know, we need to address that as well, like just as safety overall, you know, of our community.
I'll stay here. My next thing, like, since the policemen, their presence is not enough to protect us. Of course, we make dua and so on, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us or ordered us to take the steps necessary to do that. So my idea is like Brother Yusuf, Jazallah Khair, told us that it's better to have few of our brothers and even sisters like carry concealed arms. But then we have to agree to have sort of plan, like that hopefully every prayer, Zuhr or Asr or Fajr, that one of those people, designated people, let's say between 5 and 10 people, that know that I'm supposed to be there Thursday, blah, 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 you know. Because honestly, you know, a lot of times, God forbid, if an active shooter wants to come during any prayer and none of these brothers are here, what did we achieve? So does that make sense? Like, I don't know if somebody wants to make a comment.
Sister.
Okay, that's what kind of what I wanted to mention was, I mean, I know before you had a
So yeah, that's perfect. Good question, Jazakallah khair. So I'm more than willing to, stand in here and talk for days and days and days about active shooters and the response to that. I'm more than happy to, come out here and do training. And especially, we can even go through the building and I would show you guys how I would respond, clear buildings and stuff like that. I'm more than happy to do that. So inshallah, we can implement some training, and now that we have our masjid, we have our building, we can implement some sort of training in terms of how we would respond to, threats and stuff like that. So I'm more than happy to do that. In terms of having a designated list, it's a great idea to go out there and ask the community members, hey, if you're willing to put your name on this list, please do so. It's not necessarily practical, I think, that to go about making a list, because I think it's better to just let everyone know their rights and know that they can carry here. And that, to me, I feel is a better situation versus, yeah, exactly.
Well, the purpose of the list, I was saying, is so that we know and we are aware who has it for our own safety as well, so that people are aware, okay, I know this person is concealing or this person is concealing, and we know who we look at when something wants to happen, we know who has what, and we're not just like
In some mosques, like I'm aware of one in Tampa, they have to have a vest that says security. I don't know if probably that will help.
I think it might help to at least know, like you said, know who to go to. But it also helps like I said, when people know their laws and know that they are allowed legally to constitutionally carry, then statistically speaking, it reduces, the fatalities and casualties during those instances. So having that list of designated members, that's a great thing to do. But I wouldn't go as far as saying, if you're not on this list, you can't carry. I wouldn't go that far. So I would say, yes, we want volunteers. We want people to come forward and say, I'll be here in the masjid. I'll be here, and when I am here, I will be carrying. You have my word. When I'm here, I'm carrying. And when it comes to, you can have those people on the list, but when it also comes to people knowing their rights and knowing how to defend themselves and defend their family and everybody, so that they also know that they can also carry without being on that list. So that I think it's a balance of having that list of people that you can rely on, that they're going to carry a firearm, and having people know the law and know that they can constitutionally carry even if they don't want to be on the list. So no, both. Yeah, anyone over 21. Well, that's a different story. So yeah, that's a different story. Yeah, that's a perfect point. So sisters, you guys have the actual best setup in the building when it comes to.
I would say come here first.
So in that case, if the door is on that side, I would be standing to that side right there, that corner of the building right there. So, and like I said, I'd be more than happy to go over these little tips and tricks when it comes to these situations. I'll do that.
That would be really helpful. But if I could, I can slow down for a minute because like someone here mentioned, constantly going back and forth with the sheriff. That's for the liberty that's outside. I do personally think that it's inconvenient for somebody to constantly for the rest of the line while somebody's going to be here patrolling the masjid. If it would be helpful, maybe the masjid working right down
that suggestion. That's something we should write down, like rules, like this is what we want you to do every hour, this is where we want you to park, this is where, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when they show up, the first time they show up, they need to check in with somebody and sign that saying they understand it, and then, you know, that go from there.
Like the security resource officer that's at our school, he does reports every hour. This hour I went into patrol, this is what I observed, this is what I saw, this is what I did. I mean, because the police should know. Tonight, some police officers do reports anyway.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. And like I said, when you guys are paying a deputy or an officer to stay here, then that's their off-duty security. They're essentially reporting to help you. Like when I show up for off-duty security, like I said, the very first thing I need to do is, who do I need to talk to? What are you guys expecting from me? When I show up anywhere, it doesn't matter where it is, the first thing I do is I go and I ask, what are you guys expecting from me? What do you guys need me to do? And I'll do that. So if they're not doing that, then, I mean, I hate to say it, like, you know, laziness, I don't know what it is, but we need to go out there, let me know, maybe I'll go out and talk to them, and I'm sure they'll listen, but, you know, maybe they just don't know what they need to do. Maybe they just... Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I don't think it's a laziness or ignorance thing. I think legitimately speaking, they just don't know. So you need to go out there and reach out to them and say, hey, listen, this is what we need you to do. They're just showing up and you know, collecting a paycheck. So you just need to go out there and show them, let them know, this is what we need you to do. This is what, you know, we're asking you guys to walk around the building, you know, once an hour or whatever. So I feel like that's a very reasonable security detail, you know. So I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why I'm here talking about the new law and stuff like that. And that's one benefit of it, is you don't even have to have it be a U.S. citizen. Like, you know, if Imam comes here as not a U.S. citizen, you know, they have a green card, they can constitutionally carry after July 1st. But, you know, that's one positive issue. I mean, I think everybody, like I said, everybody should know their laws about that, and you know, and follow the law and protect yourselves. And everybody has that right to protect themselves and their families and their properties.
First of all, Jazakallah khairan, Brother Yusuf. So, by my authority of being Vice President, I assign Brother Salah Jawashi. You are designated to be the coordinator or in charge of this committee. But Lala, you don't have to carry it, but alhamdulillah. But let me be on the serious note. So what are we getting from today? Number one, we need follow-up meetings, all of us, but also by Brother Yusuf to train us about the active shooting incidents. Inshallah, we will never have to do that. Number two, I guess we are encouraged to go and get the permit, even though we don't have to have it, but honestly, I'm thinking about getting the permit and getting the training to do that, to like you said, if we go outside Florida, or just it's good to have training. One final question, like I heard one of the laws, my son, you know, Muhammad, he's also a lawyer. He said now they changing the law, the age from, well, the law, that saying the age from 21 to 18, they can carry even automatic or semi-automatic weapon. Is that true?
No, you have to be 21 to conceal carry. You have to be 21. No. It's the age is staying. Age restriction is staying at 21. But you can carry. Well, you can purchase. Yeah. Well, you can purchase a gun you can purchase a rifle or a shotgun at 18, but you have to be 21 to purchase a handgun. So a rifle you can purchase at 18. Shotgun you can purchase at 18. What they call hunting weapons or long guns. But a pistol, a handgun, semi-automatic rifle, yeah, you can purchase. You can purchase those at 18. Yeah, you can purchase those at 18. Yeah. No, it won't be. No. Open carry. Yeah. There's nothing to arrest him for. So as far as exactly, it's still not illegal. Even if you could put 100 signs outside, it's still not illegal. Yes. Exactly. I agree. There's no reason to do that. I personally, I don't believe that policy would be good. Like I said, because it becomes very difficult to enforce. And if we are going to have a list, and if you guys are going to have a list of people that are designated always carrying, that's fine. But you need to also mention that you should not be afraid to constitutionally carry, in the masjid, because we just don't want to be victims. That's what we're talking about. We're not. Exactly. Yeah. It's in my pocket. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. Yeah. So and I apologize. I did not mean to. I didn't mean to take up all the time on guns, because there's a lot that I want to talk about, and that's one of the things. So I want to actually implement, inshallah, after Ramadan. I'm here, so inshallah after Ramadan, I'll implement some sort of training in terms of like what we do during an active shooter situation, what we do during anything, a fire, where we park our cars, all that good stuff. How we would evacuate this building, like what we would do in terms of anything that happens that we need to evacuate suddenly. That there needs to be some sort of plan in place in terms of how we respond to. Like I said, like the sister mentioned, where do you stand when what's the best place to go when something's coming in. So that kind of situation, like. I feel like there's a lot of training that needs to go, in place. Inshallah, alhamdulillah. Now that we have our building, we can work on that. So I'm here if you guys have any questions, and anytime you guys need anything, give me a call. So sisters, anything else? Questions? Jazakallah khair.